Happy New Year, everybody tuned in to this video. This is your Premier League preview for the midweek fixtures. Now, we're also in the transfer window season. It's exciting times. The FA Cup third round is starting. The big boys are entering. 2019, oh, it's going to be a good one. But we're going to start with the early kickoff. Today's match, Everton, 12:30 kickoff against Leicester. Everton so inconsistent. They go from being battered by Spurs 6-2 at Goodison Park to then themselves battering Burnley 5-1 at Turf Moor to then losing 1-0 to Brighton over at the Amex. And that just puts more pressure on them going into this game. They start off the early kickoff for the new year at home to Leicester. Leicester themselves, they've been inconsistent themselves. They've beaten Man City. They've beaten Chelsea. But then they've also went and lost to Cardiff. Like, these inconsistencies are why I guess these teams are in the mid-table. But we know there's like a, you'll say maybe of an oligarch up in the top six. But if you want to break into that top six or even secure that 7th place, you need to be putting in more consistent performances than this. And at the moment, Everton is the team that we expect to be pushing the top six the most. They've had the most investment in recent years. They've got what you would say is probably the best squad outside the top six. But they're just underachieving, I'd say. At this moment, they're underachieving. Where they're in the table, they're in 10th, mid-table exactly. Leicester themselves are in 8th, just 1 point separates the two. It's very tight. One win can take you up to 7th, and one loss can drop you down to 14th or 15th. So it's very tight in the middle of the table. But at home to Leicester to start the new year, get back to winning ways. I'm going to go to Everton 2-1, Richarlison to get on the score sheet. The 3 o'clock kickoff, Arsenal are home to Fulham. I can only see this going one way. Now, I know Ranieri has got Fulham's defence in a much better place since he's joined. I think they've drawn 2 games, 1-1, and then they got a 1-0. I think they got a 0-0 as well, actually, to be fair. But they got a 1-0 victory in their last game against Huddersfield. But I can't see them keeping a clean sheet. It's not going to be as easy as it had been when Arsenal went to Craven Cottage earlier in the year. I think that game result was 5-2, where it was just end-to-end. And when you go end-to-end with a team like Arsenal, who's got the firepower of the Premier League top goal scorer, Aubameyang, Lacazette, etc., then you're invariably going to come out on the losing end. Arsenal have to get back to winning ways after their battering on Merseyside. I'm expecting them to deal with Fulham comprehensively. I'll go 3-1. And of course, that man, Aubameyang, to get on the score sheet. The late kickoff on New Year's Day itself, Cardiff, 5:30 kickoff at home to Tottenham. Cardiff on the back of a brilliant win against Leicester themselves, last minute from Camarasa. And Spurs on the back of a damaging defeat at home to Wolves. They're going to want to beat this promoted side. No more so than the last kickoff in this midweek, which we'll get to. If the Premier League leaders drop points in that, then Spurs could, let's say could, be back in the title race. But we'll get to that. Spurs, they need to just make sure to get back to winning ways. And of course, the game after is against Manchester United. So they want to make sure they go into that in good form, winning the Premier League, winning the FA Cup. And then, obviously, when they get Manchester United at Wembley on the 13th of January. Going on to the 2nd of December, we've got all evening kickoffs. Bournemouth at home to Watford. Bournemouth are going through a real rough patch at the moment. They've dropped down the table quicker than a stone in the sea. It's been poor. And I'm not expecting them to win this game. Watford are playing pretty well, getting some good results. I actually expect them to get something against Chelsea at the back end of last year, as they say. Back end of 2018. They didn't get anything there. I think it was 2-1 in the end, but they are playing well. I'm going to go for a draw. Yeah, I'm going to go for a draw 2-2 in that game. Both teams do have goal scorers. Deeney, even Delafeu, Pereira. Holebas likes to get in when it comes to the attacking side. And of course, Callum Wilson, Josh King, Fraser Brooks. Bournemouth have a few of their own. So I'm going to go 2-2 in that game. Chelsea at home to Southampton. Southampton are down there for a reason. Chelsea are, well, up there for a reason. At Stamford Bridge, the crowd's going to be buzzing. I'm expecting a comfortable victory. 2-0. Yeah, I call it 2-0. I know Southampton have, since the managerial change, they've had some good performances. Obviously got a draw against Manchester United. They beat Arsenal. They tested Manchester City, but going away to Stamford Bridge, never an easy place to go. And I can't see them getting anything. I'm going to go 2-0 Chelsea. Who's going to get on the score sheet? Well, not Giroud, not Morata, not Pedro, not Willian. You can probably rule out maybe 9 other players. It's going to be Hazard and maybe one other, if Hazard doesn't get the both. They're literally just relying on Hazard. And it's a sad state of affairs. They've gone from the likes of having Drogba, Costa, goals from all around, to just literally a one-man marching band. West Ham against Brighton. West Ham, another team, so inconsistent. We're having a good Christmas period. Felipe Anderson was doing bits. He was in my fantasy team. He was in a lot of people's fantasy team, and he was kind of making up for the loss of Arnautovic during this period, when you would say they had favourable fixtures, even still going on now. But then they go and lose to Burnley. Like, that is a game they really should have thought, yeah, we can get a win here. Not going to be easy, of course, but we can get a win here. They lost to Burnley. Burnley ain't beating no one. That's what we're dealing with when it comes to West Ham. They're playing at home to Brighton. Brighton, for me, I do like Brighton. I like Chris Hughton. They're kind of just trying to solidify themselves as a Premier League team, going about it in their way. The football they're playing this season has been slightly better than last season. I'm going to go for a draw. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw at the London Stadium. Huddersfield against Burnley, another relegation battle. Huddersfield must get 3 points. I'm saying they must get 3 points. And I'm gonna back them to get the 3 points. I'm gonna get them back them. I know Burnley coming off the back of a win, but as I said, that they are down there for a reason as well. Their inconsistency, their poor form, their lack of quality is why they are where they are. Sean Dyche basically said that this season, I think it was probably more third season syndrome, if that's a thing, but teams are realising that Burnley, you can't just, take Burnley easy. Whereas in the past, it was maybe thought, oh yeah, guaranteed 3 points, and they will cause an upset whether they were at home or they were away. They used to have a very good home record. This season has not been the case. We'll see if that does change in the second half of the season. But I'm gonna back Huddersfield to nick this one. I'm gonna say 1-0. Wolves against Crystal Palace. You see Wolves? I'm calling it a draw, and it's unfortunate because Wolves has such a quality side. They've got a quality manager, and we saw what they did to Spurs. We've seen how they've played against the likes of Manchester United and Manchester City, and they are 7th in the league. But their performances and their results against the big sides, it's chalk and cheese to their performances and results against the small sides. You can't back them to perform in the same way. Now, maybe those players feel that they should be at bigger sides, and so they raise their game when the Sky cameras are about. But the Premier League, there are no easy games. You have to raise your game in everyone. Now, of course, they've got some good results, but I'm just comparing the performances to one another. If they match the performance that they did against Spurs to the rest of the Premier League, they'll be fighting for a European position. I mean, 7th, I guess, is technically a European position, depending on what happens in the Cups. But they'll be much closer. But I guess, that's what you're going to get with a newly promoted side. Maybe another year together in the Premier League, and they will get that consistency to know that they have to be at it at all times. They're playing at home to Crystal Palace. You'd say on the back of the result against Spurs, yeah, that's a certain win, but it's not. I'm going to go for a draw in that one. And the late kickoff, or the last kickoff on that day, 8 o'clock, Newcastle against Manchester United. Now, The Newcastle Man United game at Old Trafford was a game which some thought was the end of Jose Mourinho. It was said that regardless of that result, he was going to get sacked. Newcastle went 2-0 up. Could have had a penalty to make it 3-0. Wasn't given. And a second half comeback from Manchester United, wrapped up by Alexis Sanchez in the last minute. 3-2. Brilliant comeback. The emotions were high at Old Trafford that day. Fast forward a few weeks or a couple months, Jose Mourinho's been sacked. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's in. 3 wins on the bounce. Exciting football. 12 goals. I think 3 conceded, so they still need to sort that out. But Newcastle are a tough side. When I say tough side, they don't score many goals, but Rafa Benitez makes sure they don't get battered. So even if they're losing the game, he would rather, especially against a big side, he would rather say, you know what, we'll take the loss. We ain't going to get battered. And we go on to keep our goal difference doing well. At the moment where their goal difference is -12, when you compare it to sides around them, we've got below them Cardiff -16, sorry, -19, Southampton -17, Burnley -22, Fulham -25, and Huddersfield -23. So that goal difference is possibly even an extra point when it comes to the relegation battle. I do expect us to win. We're going to go and attack how we have in the last 3 games. But I said it's not going to be easy. I will go with 3-1 Manchester United. Unfortunately, no clean sheet. And then the big one. The title race hinges on this result. Manchester City welcome league leaders Liverpool. What a game we have in store. Whew. Whew. I mean, as a Man United fan, I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place, you'd think. But there's only one team I want to win. I mean, if it was up to me, I'll be happy if Spurs won the league ahead of both of them. I can't see that happening. The bottom jobs they are. But Liverpool can't win the league. They can't win the league. Not on my watch. It can't happen. I pray it don't happen. So Man City must win. But I'm calling it now. If Man City fail to win, even if they draw, the league is done. Calling it. January 2019, the league is done if Man City fail to beat Liverpool. It's going to be a brilliant game. I don't expect the 0-0 that we saw at Anfield. A game that Man City will probably be very disappointed they didn't win, especially looking at how things have gone since. Liverpool still unbeaten, barely a goal conceded. Now they're scoring. Salah's on form. Firmino's, based on the one game anyways, back on form. Mane's been producing. Shaqiri. I mean, and that's just talking about the attack. The defence, that's another thing. They're brilliant at the back. Van Dijk, the lot. It's not going to be easy for Man City. They'll be glad to have Fernandinho back in that side because, boy, was he missed. Was he missed. When they lost to Leicester and they lost to, Leicester and Crystal Palace? Yeah, Leicester and Crystal Palace. It's not going to be an easy game. Aguero back. I don't think De Bruyne's going to be fit for that game because he wasn't even on the bench against Southampton. Whew. How do we predict this? Goals, both teams to score. If you like a cheeky bet, both teams to score, of course. Man City, I think they've conceded a goal. Well, they conceded 9 of their last 10 games. When I think before that they hadn't conceded in 6. So even then, they're not even keeping clean sheets the way that Liverpool are. But at the Etihad, the title on the line as far as Man City are concerned. What a turn-up it would be if they didn't win. I mean, this Man City team was spoken about as the greatest of all time. But I said, unless they defend their title, you can't speak about them in the realms of the 2 Man United teams at the start and end of the 2000s, the early 2000s, and you can't speak about them in the same breath as the Chelsea 05-06 when they defended their title. Arsenal unbeaten. Well, we know they're not going to go unbeaten. Cool, they got 100 points. So that's cool. But if you don't defend your title, I'm not saying it's a fluke. But what really did it mean? Obviously, when I say, unless you defend your title, All it means was that you were the best team that season. Not that you're the best team in England. You were the best team that season. And then the next season, you lost it. So obviously, you weren't the best. Liverpool, if they win it, they're the best team that season. And if Liverpool don't defend it, the next team that wins it, oh, they're the best. No, to be the best team in England, undoubtedly, you have to show that consistency. You have to win back-to-back titles. Make your mark, stamp that authority. If Man City do it, then we can say categorically they are the best team in England. And then we can put them into the debate. Just the debate about being the best team of all time. But they got a long way to go. I'm going to back them to win. I want them to win, but I do think being at home is going to make a difference. They know how important it is to win. The title race could be over by January, and they're not going to want that to happen in their own backyard. I'm going to go 3-2. Goals, yep, goals, but I'm going to go 3-2. Aguero, he loves the big stage. He loves the big games. He is the man for that moment. And I'm going to back him. And possibly, I mean, Sterling, when he goes to Anfield, he struggles, but at the Etihad with a crowd behind him, he could get a goal against his former side. Pep Guardiola, this is your defining moment. This is it. Because if you don't win this Premier League title, and if you end up 10 points behind in January, questions will be asked. I don't care if you got 100 points last year, or 100 goals, or whatever you did. Questions will be asked. But let me know what you think. Let me know your predictions for this massive, massive game week as we enter 2019. An exciting title race, an intriguing battle for top 4, and of course, always a scintillating fight against relegation. Any team can go down. At the moment, at least 2 teams can win it. Make sure you comment below, like and subscribe to our channel. Make sure you watch our other videos, our podcasts, other reviews, and the fan cams over on the Football Terrace.